Hello and welcome. If you're new to this channel and new to the Bible, I recommend that you first watch parts 1 and 2 of the introductory videos for an introduction to the Bible. This video focuses on the idiom, doubting Thomas. This idiom is often used to describe a skeptic, that is, someone who has difficulty believing that something is true. For example, Robert has been trying for years to convince his grandmother to use email, but she still can't see the benefits. She insists that communicating by regular mail, snail mail as some call it, is safer and just as efficient. She's such a doubting Thomas. Thomas is obviously a male name, but as my example illustrates, the idiom itself can be applied to anyone, male or female. This idiom does not actually appear in the Bible. It's based on an incident in which Jesus told Thomas, one of his followers, to stop doubting that Jesus had come back to life 3 days after dying on a cross. This image and the others that follow depict the suffering, death, and resurrection of Jesus. I'll give more details on these events in my presentations of other idioms or proverbs that relate to Jesus' crucifixion or death on a cross. In this image, Jesus' hands and feet have been nailed to a cross. Here the cross has been raised, and Jesus' mother, Mary, is kneeling at his feet. This image shows a soldier piercing or stabbing Jesus' side with a spear. In this image, Jesus is being placed in a tomb. And this image shows Jesus leaving the tomb after his victory over death. Not long afterward, Jesus presented himself alive to his disciples and other people at different times and in various places. To be fair to Thomas, the other disciples displayed some doubt themselves about Jesus' resurrection, even though he had told them several times before his death that he would be killed and raised to life again. These verses give examples of other times when Jesus' disciples expressed doubt. You might want to pause the video to read the verses you see here, both in English and in your own language. Luke chapter 24, verses 37 to 44 tell about one occasion or one time when Jesus suddenly appeared to the disciples. The whole group was startled and frightened, thinking they were seeing a ghost. "Why are you frightened?" he asked. "Why are your hearts filled with doubt? Look at my hands, look at my feet. You can see that it's really me. Touch me and make sure that I am not a ghost, because ghosts don't have bodies as you see that I do." As he spoke, he showed them his hands and his feet. Still they stood there in disbelief, filled with joy and wonder. Then he asked them, "Do you have anything here to eat?" They gave him a piece of broiled fish, and he ate it as they watched. Then he said, "When I was with you before, I told you that everything written about me in the law of Moses and the prophets and in the Psalms must be fulfilled." Although Thomas was one of the 12 disciples, he wasn't with the others when Jesus appeared to them. So they told him, "We have seen the Lord." But Thomas said, "First, I must see the nail scars in his hands and touch them with my finger. I must put my hand where the spear went into his side. I won't believe unless I do this." A week later, the disciples were together again. This time, Thomas was with them. Jesus came in while the doors were still locked and stood in the middle of the group. He greeted his disciples and said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and look at my hands. Put your hand into my side. Stop doubting and have faith." Thomas replied, "You are my Lord and my God." Jesus said, "Thomas, do you have faith because you have seen me? The people who have faith in me without seeing me are the ones who are really blessed." This all brings to mind another popular saying, "Seeing is believing." That was what Thomas seemed to think at first, wasn't it? But Jesus' response about those who have faith without seeing shows that we don't always have to see to believe. As Hebrews 11 verse 6 says, "It is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come to him must believe that God exists and that he rewards those who sincerely seek him." At the same time, if we feel a strong need for evidence, which is natural, we can find it as we read about the life of Jesus in one or more of the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. And as we read with an open heart and mind, we should seek God's help to understand the text before us. He rewards the wholehearted efforts of those who are doubtful like Thomas, yet sincerely want to believe. This concludes my presentation of the idiom, Doubting Thomas. If you'd like to learn more about Jesus, his death and resurrection, and how to start a relationship with God, please check out the resources in the notes beneath this video. Thank you for listening.